Hey guys, welcome back. So before we get into today's episode, I need you to do one thing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow me. Once we hit 100 subscribers, you get that free pair, that free pair of Raycon headphones. So make sure you do that. Again, my wife is here with me today, and we'll be doing another Am I the Asshole story. This one's totally different than what we did last week. And because she has such a nice voice to listen to, I'm going to have her read the next one.
All right, let's get into it. So, am I the asshole for refusing to maintain a vegetarian diet when my kids are in my home?
Mm-hmm. I'm already answering it. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
My ex and I have two sons that are 6 and 8. We split time 50-50. They're with me 2 weeks a month and then with her the other 2. A couple of years ago, she began dating this guy, Saul, and they got married a few months back. I knew Saul was a vegetarian, and my ex became one as well about a year into dating him. Still, she would cook meat for the boys. Once Saul moved in after the wedding, he said he didn't feel comfortable with any meat in the house at all. I didn't see much issue with this at first. Their home, they can do as they please. All I care about are my boys being fed and remaining healthy, which they are. Then, my ex became upset that our sons are not following a vegetarian diet. At her house, they have no choices, really. But my wife and I serve a variety of foods. There's not meat every night, but at least 3 to 4 times a week, you can guarantee a dish will include it. If the boys stated they wanted to become vegetarians, I would respect it and find a way to make sure they were maintaining a healthy diet. However, neither of them want to be. I've heard that at my ex's, they complain that they can't eat meat. Even if they go out, my ex and Saul will only let them order vegetarian items. In the beginning, I did try to explain different houses have different rules, but eventually just let them vent. I also told my ex that this is her circus to handle because she and Saul are making the rule. Last week was my birthday. So my wife, me, and the boys took to my favorite restaurant. Favorite steakhouse. They went to their mom's on Sunday afternoon. She sent me a long rant text stating that the boys were requesting burgers, and when she said no, they said, "But Dad let us have steak last week."
Oh.
She asked that I stop serving meat in my house and letting them order it at restaurants. I said that I wasn't going to do that unless they told me that they wanted to follow a vegetarian diet. She claims that I am making her job harder. When I told her that she's making her own job harder, she got mad at me and called me an asshole.
Of course. Of course
The people
you did.
that I've spoken to are split. All agree that I should be able to feed my kids whatever within reason, but some feel I should try to make my ex's life a little easier. Am I the asshole?
No. I could say 100% certainty that he is not the asshole in that situation.
From a coach's standpoint and with the nutrition background you have as well, let me ask you, do you think that he's in the wrong for wanting his children to have more of plant and meat-based diet rather than just plant-based? Is there something with nutrients that the rest of us don't know that you might know?
No, and you know that I'm like a firm believer on like your diet is whatever, you want it to be. Just make sure that you're eating as healthy as you can be and being mindful about the nutrition that you're getting. I've always thought about this too, like if we have kids, like what I would do, trying to teach them to have better eating habits, but making my kid follow a diet or some type of like vegetarian diet or vegan or anything like that, I don't think is constructive in the long run. What I would do, and I think I don't have any kids, but what I think a lot of parents should do if they want to educate their kids on nutrition is doing exactly that, educate them, teach them the basics, teach them what macros are, what protein is, how it affects your body, how carbs affect your body, how fats affect your body.
Especially because they're not going to get that from school.
They're not. We never got the food pyramid. I know you guys know what the food pyramid is. Like we got that stupid food pyramid.
Your millennial is showing.
Yeah, like it didn't even show, like it showed you nothing. It showed you nothing in terms, like I took nothing from that as a kid when I was taught that in health class or whatever. Like that did nothing to me. I had horrible eating habits because I just didn't know. I didn't have any type of guidance. I think what he's doing is correct because he's giving them choice. He's he's giving them the option. You know, if you want to be a vegetarian, you're more than welcome to do that. However, if you want to eat meat, if that's what you want to do, on top of having veggies and everything else, like go ahead and do that. And going back to what you asked me, like I think that is what parents should be doing. They should be educating their kids on nutrition, and then letting them, once they get to a certain age, like not like when they're like wanting chicken nuggets and stuff like that all the time, but once they get to a certain age where they're just being a little bit more mindful about what they're eating, or they want to know more about what they're eating, or even if you just want to instill that into them once they hit a certain age, and then give them the freedom and the choice to kind of, obviously you're going to still be in charge of what's being made at home, you know, lunch, dinner, all that stuff, but it just gives them the option to be able to make whatever decision that they want to make based off of the information that they have. That's just how I see it. Like that's how I would do it. You know, if we have kids, if or when we have kids, is kind of just educating them and then letting them make their own choices from there once they get to like, you know, a certain age.
I think unless you have specific dietary needs or restrictions, it's always a good rule of thumb that there are no bad foods. Mm-mm. It's just about volume and moderation. Yep. But obviously there are people out there that they literally can't have gluten, or they have to watch certain diets because they've got different illnesses going on. But yeah, the problem that I have with this story is actually within like the first paragraph. You and I don't have the experience to speak on how you should raise your children or how to deal with a divorce, because neither one of us have ever been through that.
Yes.
But we both have a dating history, and we both have now been married, and we know we have that marriage experience. So with that said, here's my next question for you. What do you think about your partner deciding how you're going to live your life, and how, I guess a step further, which we don't technically have the experience on, but like, how do you feel about letting a partner come into a situation and negate how you're going to have your biological children act?
Oh, I wouldn't. So you're talking about like if, for example, if
I brought home a stepdaddy and that stepdaddy said how your kids nutrition wise should be.
Oh, well, and with, I would not.
Not necessarily, I don't want to make it too personal, but like, that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you think about that situation where somebody's coming into an already established home, an already established routine? Mm-hmm. I think for him to be vegetarian, that's fine. And if the wife wants to do that, that's fine.
He came in.
Yeah, he came in. They got married a few months back, and she decided to be, they've been dating for a few years, got married a few months back, and she decided to become a vegetarian about a year into dating him. But she would cook meat for the boys until they got married, and then he said he wasn't comfortable with it.
He did the old switcheroo. He was all peachy keen about it until he locked her in, and then was like, all right, I got her. Now you're gonna do things my way.
I mean, is that your interpretation?
That's how I'm looking at it right now. Is he? And I'm not saying that he went in with an agenda or anything like that. I feel like that he's just vegetarian, and you know, he figures maybe to him. And I'm just going to try to play devil's advocate here. Maybe to him, because marriage was the next step. He made the next step. Like, he fully committed to being their stepdad. You know, being a part of that family. And I guess I can kind of see where he's coming from. He just wants them. He thinks, to him, being a vegetarian is very healthy. You know, there's a lot of benefits that he's probably gotten from doing that, and he just wants them to experience the same thing as well too. So I will give him that. However, you also need to be considerate of their actual biological father, and like he said in there, like, he doesn't care in terms of like what they're eating when they're at their mom's house.
No, they do care now.
Oh, the dad cares now?
Well, I mean, you would think that you mean the biological?
Yeah, the biological dad doesn't care. He said he didn't care. Like, he doesn't, like, whatever they do at whatever house they're at, like, he doesn't care.
Right.
Which I think is how it should be. You know, we talked to your mom about this a little bit earlier. You know, I think in a respectful manner, you need to be respectful of whatever is going on at the other person's house. You know, if you want the kids eating vegetarian when they're visiting the stepmom or their stepdad or whatever, and they want them to eat like how they're eating, that's on them at that point while they're with them. But when they're back with me, or back with their biological, the main person that they're with, it shouldn't be like that. They should be with whatever eating habits they have going on there.
I
That's how I
don't
look at it.
know. We talked last week a little bit about being, rigid. And I think that when you give kids growing up, or when you don't give kids growing up, rather, I should say, choices and options, once they hit 18 or once they get that license,
They're gonna
not
go
even if they're
crazy.
necessarily 18. Yeah. So, like, I grew up with wonderful home cooked meals. My mom did a wonderful job of providing meals, and my dad did a wonderful job of providing the income for those meals. So I
Hmm.
was very blessed. However, as a kid, you don't know and appreciate that. And all I knew was that mom was feeding me 3 times a day at home, and I wasn't getting McDonald's. I did get McDonald's, but it was seriously like once or twice a year. I can count on two
And
hands the
like,
number of times I've been there. But let me just finish this. When I was a teenager and I got my license, I that's like all I ate, and I really think that was, especially when I was like growing and stuff. I think that if you keep kids from something, there's the potential for them to go crazy with it.
oh no, you're 100% right. And obviously, like our childhood experience is totally different in terms of meals and just household situations. You grew up in a married household. I grew up in my mom and my dad being kind of separated.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
we
had two
have
different
definitely
experiences when it came
backgrounds.
to, eating. With mom, it was kind of like a struggle because she didn't make nearly as much money as dad did. And she also had my brother and my sister to take care of as well too. So there wasn't really a lot of eating out when I was with her. There was more of like kind of eat whatever's in the fridge. Then that could be, I've told this before, like it could be hard boiled eggs and some chopped up hot dogs, and that would be my meal. Like that's it. Like that's all I would have. So I didn't have any type of nutritional anything from my parents. And when I was with my dad, it was the complete opposite. My dad was financially
McDonald's and
secure.
pizza.
Yeah, my dad was financially secure. He was a truck driver at the time. He is always doing something on the side, so he was DJing, so he was fine. Like he was fine financially. And when I would stay with him, a lot of my meals were fast food, and a lot of it was McDonald's. I loved the crap out of McDonald's. I ate a lot of McDonald's as a kid, way more than I should have. And he cooked meals at home here and there, but it wasn't anything nutritious. It was like Hamburger Helper, the Steakums, it was stuff like that. So there was no like making sure that you're getting your protein and making sure that you're getting your veggies. It was just, with dad, go ham. Because I craved that stuff when I was with him, and with mom, it was kind of like I'm on the struggle bus, like try to just try to eat whatever I could when we had like guys, it was tough. I used to steal. I don't think I told you this. I used to, for those who are familiar with the Pennsylvania area, Central PA area, Turkey Hill is a convenience store around here. I used to go to Turkey Hill. My mom actually told me this story too when I was with her the other day. So I don't remember this, but I used to go to Turkey Hill and I would steal candy. I'd steal candy when I didn't have money. I would go there and steal candy. And sometimes what I would do too, and it's what she reminded me of the other day that I was with her, is I would ask people for money so that I could buy candy. Like if that gives any premise on how that was for us. So it's yeah, it's just interesting coming at it from two different perspectives. But ultimately, I don't think the dad is an asshole at all for anything that he's done. I'm trying to give the mom and the stepdad the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, kudos to the mom and the stepdad for introducing them to a vegetarian diet, because it is good. And I think that especially in America where we live, people are so quick to be like, ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
what do you mean it's not a steak and a potato? But it, like, we've opened up our horizons nutritionally in the last few years.
yeah,
And like, there are times that we'll have a dinner that happens to be vegetarian, but it's just because that's like what we were hungry for that night.
yeah,
So I think it would be nice if the mom, the stepdad, and the biological dad in this story were able to work a little bit more as a unit to give these kids different nutritional options.
yeah. I do think it's cool though, like you said, that they introduced them to the vegetarian lifestyle, and I think that's fine. Like if you want to
Yeah,
try
the
to like
takeaway is not that being a vegetarian makes you an
yeah,
asshole, like,
yeah,
at all.
yeah. But if you want to introduce your kids to whatever type of way that you're eating, I think that's totally fine. I think that's cool because you're kind of giving them a little bit more tools in their arsenal to work with if they decide, whatever they want to do with their eating habits and their health and all that jazz. So I think that's good.
Yeah. Guys, we're adopting a special needs kitty after this. She's 3 months old, and we found her through the SPCA. Actually, my boss at my marketing job tagged me in a post. He's been trying to get us to adopt another cat, but
Way too often.
Way too often. We're all cat people. But when she was a little tiny baby, like probably a month old, she got whacked in the nose with the weed whacker. And now, because of that incident, she's a special needs kitty. But we already have 3, and I know we're supposed to be doing this podcast, but it's all I can think about. He's going to work out at the gym. I'm going to do some meal prep, and then we pick up this kitty.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about our day a little bit. So after we get done shooting this podcast, I'm going to go work out. She's going to continue to stay here and work on some Mosley coaching stuff. And then around noon, we're going to go out and go meet Echo and take her home. And
meet who?
Naya. Not totally sold on that name yet, but she wants to name her Naya. Anyways, we're meeting Naya, and then we're going to bring her home. And for those who have cats or adopted cats, y'all know that process.
We have a long process.
We got a long process.
The last time that we rescued a cat, I remember looking at Skylar. She had been here for like maybe 24 hours, and I was like, whoa, did we get ourselves into?
The goal, all right. So, but the goal with Naya, Echo, whatever we name her when she comes home, she's going to be my gym cat. I'm going to find a way to get this cat to want to be downstairs with me when I'm working out. Just being in the shot.
The other cats already do. They just don't perform the way that he wants them to because they scratch at things.
Yeah, especially Nika. Nika and Nani. I've tried to include them in some reels and whatnot.
He's the cats they're the cats that he does his bicep curls with.
But it doesn't work out too well. So, and did you mention that Echo is a special needs cat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, so we're just first time bringing home a special needs cat. So I'm super excited. She's super cute, super adorable.
I mean, we already have special needs people here. We might as well add special needs cats. For the record, my father is handicapped, and that is another story for another podcast
I mean,
day.
You can share a little bit of,
oh no, that's okay. We'll talk about that later because that's its own thing. But yeah, we're just opening up our home.
So, anyways, back to the nutrition talk.
Cats.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
You've been on your own health journey outside of me. We've done
I have been.
a lot of different. We've done the whole 30.
We've done the whole 30 3 times. The first time we did it was really pathetic and kind of laughable.
How far did we get?
We only got to 10 days. So it's funny because we got to 10 days the first time. We got to 20 days the second time.
Should we explain what that is so they know what we're talking about?
And then we got the whole full 30 days successfully.
Right. So for those who don't know what the whole 30 is, the whole 30,
it's a 30-day elimination.
It's a 30-day elimination.
Diet.
Yeah, so you pretty much cut out a lot of stuff.
No alcohol.
No alcohol, no processed foods, no dairy.
No wheat or gluten.
No wheat or gluten. What else?
Legumes, I think, like peas and stuff.
Is that cut out?
I think so. I think legumes is
cut out. It's very restrictive.
Corn's cut out.
Yeah, it's very restrictive. But the goal of it is not it's not weight loss or anything like that. So if you're thinking it's a weight loss thing, it's not. It's more so to figure out what foods are causing your body to become inflamed, what foods are triggering, maybe you were having a lot of gut issues, a lot of bowel movements, stuff like that. It's kind of helping you figure out what foods are beneficial for you and what foods are making you feel like crap.
It's absolutely not a sustainable diet.
No. 30, and after you do the 30 days of doing it, you're not supposed to just jump back to how you were eating prior. You're kind of slowly reintroducing the foods that you took out one at a time to even figure out even more
to
exactly.
Calculate like your results, what happens to your body after you have wheat again or dairy again. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, you were asking me a question. So we've done a lot of different.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of different, I guess, eating diets, eating habit type things. what's been your main takeaway from just trying to, I guess, do trial and error with figuring out what works for you in terms of eating the foods that you like to eat and the foods that you should avoid?
So I've learned a lot about my body both before I started working with my trainer now and like after. I've learned a lot from her as well. I haven't been on gluten for been on gluten like it's a drug. I haven't had gluten. God.
I mean, I guess for some people it might be a drug.
I really like bread and carbs that aren't gluten free. But anyway, so I don't know how my body's going to react once I reintroduce that, because it's been at least 4, if not 6 months now. It's been a while that I haven't had any gluten. I'm right now currently not having any dairy. I've noticed my face is really cleared up. You commented on that the other day. So I know kind of what I need to, I don't want to say avoid, but just have in moderation moving forward. I think I've talked with you and with my mom about this. I think when it is time for me to be done with my program, like I'll probably remain gluten-free for the most part, especially at home. There's nothing wrong with like having like the lentil pasta or something. Like I decided that I really like that, I'm going to put that back into my daily rotation. But I've also kind of subscribed to almost like the anti-fitness influencer, and he's laughing because we went through this whole process together for like the last 5 years. But I feel like when Skylar and I first started working together, we were both very like, no excuses, just get it done. And then I went through 3 years of therapy to work on my mental health. And for me, that mentality is extremely damaging. Maybe it's not for everybody. There are some people that it works for. David Goggins is a great example. He's really somebody to look up to and somebody to strive to be like. But just because it works for him doesn't mean it works for everybody. And I learned that I need to give myself more compassion and more room for healing. So in saying that, I think moving forward with my diet after everything is just practicing more moderation and more leniency. But I was really stuffing my face with like junk food and stuff. So part of the process for me, it's not necessarily no excuses, don't stuff your face with junk food. It's more like I'm learning to love myself enough that I want to give my body good food as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that where, so you mentioned like being more compassionate with yourself. Like, what does that look like to you? Because I feel like there's either two things with that when it comes to people doing that for themselves. They either don't know what that looks like or, no, actually, that's just one thing. They don't know what that looks like for them. So what does that look like for you, just in case for somebody that may need help kind of.
So when I started therapy, I was very much in a people-pleasing state of mind, and I was trying to think of the right words. And being such a people pleaser, I was also kind of like people pleasing myself. Like I thought that I had to hit certain goals at certain times, or if I didn't do this in a day, then I was lazy, or if I didn't do this in a day, then, I didn't care about myself. And I never felt like just sitting or relaxing was something that I was allowed to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that's, sorry, I'm really lost on my words right now.
No, you're good.
Might have to cut this part out. But but yeah,
So what steps have you taken to work on being more compassionate with yourself? Like what things have you actively started doing to kind of help remind yourself that, you don't need to be 100% perfect. It's okay to kind of give yourself a break and rest.
a lot of it has been an internal voice sort of thing, to just allow myself to make mistakes, allow myself to try again the next day, allow myself to rest, allow myself to feel like I don't always have to produce, allow myself to, if if I don't want to do this exercise today,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many ways to move your body. And people are just so, some people are so gung-ho about the way that they move their body. And they think that everybody should be moving their body that way. I mean, there was a point in time where you were really heavy on weightlifting, and I've just always been like a yoga person, you know, and I know they carry different benefits, but it was nice getting back to that part of myself without feeling like I needed to please you and lift weights.
Cool. I like that. You should lift weights though.
I know I should.
I'm just messing with you.
I know I should, but you should also do yoga and stretch out. So touche.
I do yoga.
No, I'm just
I do
teasing.
stretch out.
I'm just teasing. But yeah, there are just so many different ways to find something that works for you with diet, with exercise, you know.
Do you think a lot of the...
And I think literally everybody needs therapy. Like, nobody is exempt from this shit. Nobody. We've both been to therapy. We've been to therapy together and individually. And we've encouraged our parents to get into therapy. Like, nobody's exempt.
Yeah, no one's exempt. Yeah, if you're not right up here, you're not going to be right
It's not
anywhere
even
else.
being like right up there. It's just being human. You know, we carry all of our experiences on our back subconsciously. And I don't know. I just think everybody needs therapy.
But not everyone wants to get into therapy because a lot of people think they don't need it. They think that they're fine. They think that the issues that they're going through are normal.
Sounds like that's another podcast.
But I think we're going to end it here, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I feel like that was a lot of rambling this episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of rambling. So
Kind of is what it is.
hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch you on the next one. With that being said,
Let's Mosley.